Let's talk about Jared Kushner going to the Middle East. So LA Times had a piece on it. They're saying that he shuttled between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. And so he's going, I guess, as would an emissary be over the top? He's going as this great representative of hope to bring peace in the Middle East on behalf of Donald Trump.
What you're saying, Ben, is that our president did a thorough national search, looking for the most qualified person to go over the Middle East and negotiate peace, and it just turned out to happen to be his
happened to be his
son.
son-in-law.
That's how it shook out, man. I mean, it's unlikely, but here it is.
So
look at him.
But Jared Kushner did have Benjamin Netanyahu stay in his bedroom one time. No, he did. It's a true story.
I don't want to ask what other people are qualified as a result of that credential. But,
we won't discuss that. But so what's like, snark aside?
There's going to be a lot of snark here.
No, give it all. Then what's your take?
For one, I feel 36-year-old modern Orthodox Jewish Americans don't get a lot of screen time. There's Jared Kushner and there's me here on the Benjamin Dixon Show. And I'm not thrilled with the representation.
You're upset because you're here with me,
and he's solving the world's problems. So that's the first thing. I know that could be the last thing too. So I mean, it is on the one hand a fundamental absurdity to essentially pick a random person.
Yeah.
But basically what it is, he randomly happened to marry Ivanka Trump. Right?
Yeah.
That is his qualification. He's a sort of mediocre performer at every other stage of life. No accomplishments that you wouldn't expect for somebody born into his position.
Right.
It's an absurdity. Jason Greenblatt, who's also there with him, he's a little more accomplished as a person, doesn't have any background knowledge in the issues of the Middle East, particularly Israel-Palestine. You add on top of that if you are a Jewish American, you've got to really work to show that you are interested in justice and interested in the Palestinian people living lives the way they should, right? There's going to be a strike against you in the mindset, and that's not entirely unfair, right? People tend to be biased towards their families, right?
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
Yeah. It's
not anti-Jewish, right? It's no different from any other group, right? So they haven't done that. Right, they have not spent the time learning the culture that they are dealing with, learning the ins and outs of it. So it's a little bit ridiculous, right? That's just the first thing. The next thing is to say that people who have been versed in this, have studied everything, they haven't gotten anywhere either. And there is sort of this like roll the dice, wild card, pick from the deck kind of thing going on, where you think like maybe just doing the most random, strange thing it can't get worse is the theory. I think that's a mistake. It can get worse. So there's that. I think that one sort of important thing to note is that as the peace process, as it's sort of called fallaciously, between Israel and Palestine has gone on, there is a danger to going down a path and not seeing it through. And this is the thing that scares me most in regards to Trump. He's jumping into this thing. He says he wants to pressure Netanyahu. I think in general that would be great. But the history has shown that if you start a peace process, it's surgery.
Yeah.
Right? You got to cut things open first, right? This is a place where if you're talking about a two-state solution, things are intertwined in really complicated ways. People have very different understandings of the world they're in. The Oslo process did this. It sliced it open, right? They weren't able to sew it back, and it got a whole lot worse. Right? So it's not just like, give it a shot, see what happens. Right, the worst thing that can happen is you go there, you make it, you make some steps, right? But then you actually didn't know what the hell you were talking about from the start, and you make it worse. And as bad as it is, and it is really bad. I mean, look at the electricity situation in Gaza right now. It's really bad. It can get worse, right? There can just be a full-out war, right? It can get worse. Anyway, that went from sort of snark to maybe a little self-righteous, but I appreciate the opportunity, man.
And no problem, man. I don't think I have anything else to say about that, man. You got any last thoughts on that?
Oh gosh, I mean, I am somebody who wants to see the United States put legitimate pressure on Israel to move towards a two-state solution, but I am afraid to advocate for that in the context of a president who I don't think can see it through and doesn't understand the issues. Like it's hard. I've been, in speaking to people about this issue, which is very close. I do a lot of work around it. To say I'm not sure I want to see any moves because I don't see them being followed through. I don't see them going forward.
I don't think that's unreasonable though. If you think about what you're saying that Trump has the potential of actually making the situation worse. And so not having him involved might be the better solution right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing that he could do, honestly,
stay out of it.
Well, it would be to stay out of anything concrete and to create such sort of confusion amongst the Israelis that they feel less confident in doing things like pushing new settlements. Right? So like if I could draw up the best case scenario that I can envision, the best case scenario is somehow Jared Kushner is a genius and right. Barring that, the best thing that I could see, right now Israel is sort of in love with Trump, but he's got especially the Israeli right, but he's got this like weird thing where he flips back and forth on stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Right. If he does that enough, maybe the Israeli right gets nervous and doesn't feel like it can just push ahead. I mean, they felt like Obama was an enemy, at least the Israeli right did, but that they could push him around. Right now, they think that Trump is a friend, but they don't necessarily think they can push him around, not because they respect him and his smarts, but that he's just a sort of a bull in a china shop, right? He could just knock everything over. Yeah. Anyway, so some chaos. It's not that I think that's good. It's not that I don't want to see concrete steps towards a viable Palestinian state. I just don't think he can do that. I think the best that he could do is maybe put some confusion into the bad path things have been going with the Israeli government.